friends, it's editing me. I just want to let you know that this whole video is out of focus and I am so sorry. This is the third time that I had filmed it and I'm not gonna do it again. So just pretend that it's a podcast or something, but it's blurry the whole time and there's not much I can do about it, so I'm sorry. Hi friends! Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. This is Paperbacks and Palettes, where I talk about my two favorite things, which are makeup and books. Today, as you can probably tell, is a books day. Yay! So if you're here interested in makeup, I have a makeup video already up on my channel, or you should subscribe because the next video that I post will be a makeup video and you should watch that instead. So I figured today, as a good way to introduce you to the book side of my channel, motorcycles. We're doing a May wrap up, and I know that it's kind of already the beginning to middle of June, but I have books that I read. So I figured why not talk about them a little bit, give you a really quick overview. So in the month of May, I read 4 books. I read 3 books off of my shelf, and I read 1 arc that I will talk about later. I figure we'll just kind of go in order from my least favorite to my favorite, and I can give you a brief overview of each of the books, why I liked them, why I didn't, and then I'll link all the books in the description down below. And if you're interested, maybe you should check them out, or not, because some of these don't. Okay, let's get started. So my least favorite book that I read this month, no. I am in this truck. I'm in this series far too deep to just not keep reading it, and at this point it's kind of turned into a hate read series for me. So this is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is book 4 in the Court of Wings and Thorns and Court of Thorns and Roses. This is the 4th book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I don't know, man. The first one was okay. The second one I liked. The third one was this one was like actively bad. So I don't know. I just have a variety of problems with it. So let's get into that, I guess. Okay, have my notes. Let's do this. First, I'm gonna list the thing that I like the most. The one thing that made this book like not a 1 star. And that's that female friendships are actually really cool, and I think that this book does them pretty well. There are some pretty solid female friendships that Nesta makes throughout the book, and I liked those. I thought that they seemed authentic and were well developed, and I always love like girls supporting girls because girl on girl hate is a trope that I really just can't stand. So I thought this book handled that pretty well. Okay, let's get into the actual, like, let's just get into this shit. Okay. I am not a prude. I've read this whole series so far, okay? There's just too much smut in this one. I feel like it's every other page. It adds nothing to the story. It's clearly there just for the sake of satiating the audiences that really want it. And I can understand it if it like adds something to the story or builds development between characters, but it doesn't really do that. And if I have to hear the word mate one more time, I know I will, but damn. Okay, the next thing that I think that we should talk about are the total nice guy vibes that Cassian gives off. Like, so we're inside Nesta's head, right? And we can kind of like tell that even though she puts on this persona of wanting nothing to do with Cassian, that she's still kind of into him and she doesn't like mind the banter and stuff. But Cassian doesn't know that. So all of these, like, him continuing to push at Nesta and be like, I know that you like me, and giving off these flirtatious vibes, it comes off very strange and wrong to me because he doesn't know that she feels that way. From the outside, all that he's getting is ice cold, like stone cold bitch, like don't talk to me vibes. But he continues to press on because he doesn't know that inside Nesta's into it, and I'm just, I like Cassian as a character, but that relationship dynamic just absolutely does not work for me. Not a fan. The last thing that I want to talk about is how mental health is handled in this book. It really bothers me when authors try to incorporate mental health discussions into a book, but do it in such a heavy-handed, pretentious, like almost patronizing way that makes it so clear that they're talking about mental health, and that's like the message that the author wants to portray. So there are like a couple of scenes within where like Nesta and her friends are talking about their pasts and how traumatized they were. And the only thing that we get out of that is like, it's okay to not be okay. And I think one of the characters says that out loud, like, our trauma does not define us. Like, yeah, but show it. Don't make it so heavy-handed and obvious that you're wanting to talk about mental health by putting these very bold-faced statements word for word into your text. It really bothers me. You know what a book that does that really, really well and really just tackles mental health in a subtle yet very well integrated way is The Gilded Ones. If you want to read a book that's good about mental health and women overcoming their trauma in a YA fantasy style, just read The Gilded Ones. It's so much better. Okay, so that was A Court of Silver Flames. I gave this one 2.5 stars. Because it was entertaining to hate read. Yes, I will continue with this series because I'm in too deep at this point now and I need to know how it ends. And some of the characters I do like. There's just so much about it that I just fucking hate. But I'm gonna keep reading anyways. 2.5 stars. Okay, next one. Okay, so my third favorite book of the month that I read was Midnight in Chernobyl, The Untold Story of the World's Greatest Nuclear Disaster. This book was fascinating. Now, like don't get me wrong, the reason why it's a little bit lower on my list is not because it's a good book, because I learned so much about this. I don't know anything about Chernobyl. I mean, I know the very basics, but I haven't watched any documentaries, read any other books. I haven't seen Chernobyl on like HBO Max or whatever. So I knew the basics, but I didn't know exactly what caused it or like the precise fallout. Boo, I didn't even mean to do that. Ah! Or like damn it, I'm just gonna say fallout. The fallout of what happened after the fact. So this book did a hell of a job at introducing me to those topics. I feel like I could talk about Chernobyl with anyone and hold my own like very well in a conversation, and that's what I read this book to do. I feel like I have accomplished that fact, and for that I'm grateful. Cool. Okay, bad things. This book is exhausting. This is a book that most certainly requires a lot of effort, a lot of concentration, a lot of just kind of like knowledge and willingness to go back and reread passages, because seriously, it takes a lot to be able to comprehend the intricacies of what's going on within the nuclear reactor. I know I didn't fully understand what was happening even as I read and reread it. So in that element, I felt like there were times where I didn't make a lot of progress while reading, and it just felt really like, it felt like a slog to get through at times, and I don't love books that do that. On top of that, I'm also really bad at remembering character names, kind of no matter what the book is, and because everyone in this book is Russian, they all have names that sound similar, and those names all kind of blurred together, and I had a really hard time telling them apart. And I know that that's my fault, but there were so many different people, and some of them had the same names because obviously it's like a real story and not a work of fiction where an author can make up different names. So some people had the same names, and that was a little frustrating to try and remember this whole cast of characters. So in some aspects, it was a difficult book to get through, but I thought it was worth getting through. So I gave this book 3 stars because it accomplished what I wanted it to do. It just kind of took a little bit of work to get there. Okay, my second favorite book of the month is Invisible Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk. This book is weird as fuck. Also, the lighting totally just changed. Sad. This book is fucking weird. It gives me, I think I wrote this in my Goodreads review or something similar, but this is a very niche reference. It gives me major Holy Motors vibes. If you've seen the French art film Holy Motors, I get very strong like similarities between the two in terms of tone and like the hyperbolic nature of looking at human life and what it involves. If any of you have seen Holy Motors, that's like such a random thing. Like, let me know if you've read this book and seen Holy Motors, which is probably like 10 people in the world. comment and let me know if you feel the same way, because seriously, this book is just very, very strange. It tells, what is it even about? I'm gonna try and explain it the best that I can, but know that this book somewhat defies description. This is a book about a woman who used to be a supermodel who got into a horrific accident that blew off the lower half of her jaw, and now she is disfigured and can't talk and is trying to lead a normal life, and how she kind of learns that as this monster she fades into the background of everyday life and is no longer... Dude, I need a better mic. This is gonna be a pain. She kind of fades into the background of life and is trying to figure out who she is, what she wants to do, and she runs into this trans woman named Brandy Alexander, who kind of helps her rediscover life in its like full flamboyant hyperbolic nature. Is that a good description? I don't fucking know. This book is just very, very strange. Every scene and interaction and event is carried out in a very larger than life hyperbolic nature, where you just read it and you're like, this reads like a very poorly written movie script. And it's supposed to be bizarre and extravagant and overindulgent, and it was very good in a very odd way, where after I finished the book I just kind of looked at it and I was just fuck what it, in terms of endings and oddity, it's very up there with like Bunny by Mona Awad and I'm Thinking of Anythings by Ian Reid. Not in its like ambiguous nature, but just in like you read it and you don't understand, and it's fucked up and weird, and I've been swearing a lot, but that's what this book deserves. So I gave this one 3.5 stars. I thought it was good but strange, and I still don't know how I feel about it, so that's a deserving rating. Also, this book is cool because look, it's a princess on the front and a princess, but oh, it's an old ass ugly dude. I'm sorry. All right, let's just move on. Okay, the last book that I read this month, my favorite book, was actually an arc. So it's called The Stalker. It's by Sarah Alderson. I will put a little photo right here. I don't remember when it comes out. I want to say that it comes out in like late August, but that might be a book by Stephen Graham Jones. I don't know. I'll put when it comes out on the screen. This book is about a couple who is on their honeymoon in Scotland, and they are on an abandoned, secluded island all to themselves, but someone is clearly there watching them and wanting to cause them harm. And I loved this one. I loved it. It was great. I think this is one of the highest ratings that I've ever given to a thriller before, which is kind of crazy, but oh, it was so good. I can't really talk too much about it because some of my favorite parts were the twists and the spoilers and the ending, which I absolutely did not see coming. And I am sure that some people totally guessed it and called it. I didn't. It rocked my socks off, and I thought that it was good. It was a slow burn, which I love. I enjoyed the writing style. I thought that it was straightforward and uncomplicated. I read this book in like less than 48 hours. It was just a really solid thriller read, and most of the time thrillers don't get me the way that this one does, but I thought it was a really great atmospheric thriller. And the twists were just so good. So I know that this one isn't out yet, but if you're a fan of just like a good thriller, I would highly recommend checking this one when it does come out, because I gave this one 4.5 stars. Just like 5s are reserved for ones that I hold near and dear to my heart, that I will take with me and remember and recommend to just about anyone. That one just isn't quite at that level. I can't give a specific reason as to why it isn't. It just isn't. So I gave it the next highest one, which is a 4.5 star. I don't think I've ever given a book a 4.5 star rating before. So this one, quality. So that was my May wrap up. I'm currently in the middle of reading The Way of Kings, which will probably be the book that I read for the majority of June. I also am just starting the first one to Lie as just kind of like an in-between breather read for while I'm reading The Way of Kings. It's good so far. It's a lot. It's really dense and heavy, and I'm really only managing like 15 to 25 pages a day. But I will keep you updated on that more as we head into June and wrap up June. But those are my reads for now. I will be back in a few days or so with another book-related post. So in the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe if you're interested. Again, I also do makeup stuff, so if you're interested in makeup, then you should like extra subscribe. Because those are the two things that I do here. If you're interested in reading my full reviews on each one of these books, you can go to proseandpaperbacks.com, which is my book blog specifically for books. You can also check out my book Instagram, which is Prose and Paperbacks, or you can check out my makeup Instagram if you're interested, which is Palettes and Powders. It's a lot of P's. I'm so sorry. Not really. If you're interested in emailing me, if that's for ARC-related purposes, PR-related purposes, you can do so at proseandpaperbacks@gmail.com. And I think that's it. Tell me down in the comments below what your favorite book was that you read in May, because I'm always looking for recommendations. This is just a tiny part of my shelf. They go up, they go out. I'm always looking for new reads. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Take care of yourself. Bye!